Hi everyone. I just wanted to make a video today because I felt like a Facebook post would be too long. Like many artists right now, I'm also struggling with all of my jobs are gone. And how do I stay creative while I'm still in quarantine or isolation or whatever because, the whole coronavirus thing. So I thought, I would give my thoughts on it. For me, I decided that I should turn to the artist that I am most inspired by, which is, of course, William Shakespeare. What would Shakespeare do? What did Shakespeare do? When the bubonic plague, hit London, a bunch of times while he was, still alive, he was in quarantine, isolation, all that stuff. Shakespeare wrote some of his best work while in quarantine. He wrote King Lear, Macbeth, Antony, and Cleopatra, allegedly, of course, which, in my opinion, King Lear is the best Shakespeare play. It's definitely my favorite. He did a lot of work while in quarantine, or while, his job was, while the theater was shut down. Because Shakespeare wasn't just a playwright, he was also, he owned the theater with a couple other people. He was also, an actor. He also acted, as the ghost in Hamlet and a couple other parts as well, all over the place. So he wasn't just a playwright, he was doing multiple things. I think that's part of the reason why he was able to still stay creative and stay working. Obviously, Shakespeare got something right because, we still read his plays today, we still perform his plays today, so obviously he was doing something right for us to still be this focused on him today, 400 plus years later. And I think part of the reason why is because he wrote about people. He didn't write about places, he didn't write about events, he didn't write about ideas, he wrote about people who went places, people who experienced events, people who had ideas. He just wrote really genuine, authentic, stylized people. So I personally like to think that he was like a very sociable person, He spent a lot of time around people, that's how he was able to understand and know people. And so I think also while we're in this, time of, all of our jobs are shut down, we don't have anything to do, we don't have any creative outlets, that we also still need to maintain our connection to the people in our lives, otherwise we won't be able to retain that creative connection. What we as performance artists do is about people. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but visual art can be done alone. Writing can also be done alone. But singing for a group of people, acting for a group of people, dancing for a group of people, it requires collaboration, it necessitates people, which obviously is, not recommended right now. If you're like, I haven't read this book and I really want to read this book, I just never have time, great, you have a chance to read the book. I like my isolation as much as, any other person. It can get very lonely, it can get very depressing, and we're not going to be able to be our creative potential when we're lonely and isolated and depressed. So I think if Shakespeare were still alive today, he would probably be the kind of guy who would, Skype people up and play a new song he wrote for them, or, Skype with one of his friends and have them read a scene together. He would still stay working, and he would still stay collaborating. He would still stay creatively engaged and active, because when, the plague was over, he went right back to working at the theater. If you spend that much time in isolation and depressed, then when you come out of it, you're not going to be at your full potential, you're not going to be at your most creative. I also worked with an actor who said that if you're not doing something for 40 hours a week, then it's not your job, it's a hobby. And so, right now, when all of the acting productions, all of the theaters are shutting down, when cabarets are being canceled, when concerts are, being canceled, auditions are harder to go to because they, you don't want to be around people. It's harder to, spend 40 hours a week doing art right now. Doing something creative doesn't have to be rehearsing. It can be finding a new monologue and working on that, or finding a new song and working on that, or writing your own monologue if, that's something that you're interested in. And if you like that monologue, maybe think more about that character, who that character is, and write that character, write that play or movie or book, write poetry, write music, write anything, but don't be by yourself. Share that with other people. And I would love to read people's stuff or see people's music or, whatever. I think that'd be awesome. And I think everyone should share the stuff that they're creating while in quarantine, because it would just be really depressing not to, honestly. And the point of it is also not to get critiqued or, to figure out how to be better. It's practicing letting that creative outlet come out of you. It doesn't matter if it's through your voice, if it's, through your pen or your keyboard or your piano, your keyboard, or anything like that. If you're not able to, be in a show right now or, go to a dance concert or anything, there's still so much you can do, and I just encourage everyone to do that and to also share that, because everyone else needs to see that art too, to, be creatively fulfilled. We don't just create art, we also enjoy art, we see art, we go see other shows, we listen to music. Also, please feel free to share this with other artist people, even if they're not performing artists, not even if they're not artists, people, it's tough being stuck alone. People don't like being stuck alone unless you're, super introvert. Really applies to everyone, but this is because I'm a performing artist. I know performing artists better than normal people. Not that we're not normal people. We really aren't. Do it for yourself, but then also share it with the world, because the world also needs it. So I think that's what Shakespeare would do. So that's what we should do, because Shakespeare is awesome. Yo.